Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and today we're looking again at Stable Orbit. The Perihelion update has just been released, and, well, it adds a few bits and pieces here, so let's just go through building a basic station. So, you're going to need the shuttle dock. I like to put some trusses on here to expand out sideways so I can attach all my solar panels. If you're going to make money, you absolutely need to have a lab, so that should be like your highest priority. Now you need to put the stuff together now to support anybody working in the lab. The core station does support small amounts of oxygen, water, fuel. It supports one crew member, but you're gonna really need to expand it to make sure that everything you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's, as they say. So we got a truss. Let's add a small solar array, and then on top of the truss, I like to put things like batteries. Underneath I like to put radiators, so that's how I work. So we're also going to add a radiator on the bottom here. Where are we? Radiator, yes. So we'll start like heat coming out there, just to make sure if the heat gets too high you will start damaging things. So next we're going to add modules to contain consumables for the crew. So water tanks, we're going to need to add food, and then we're going to need to add oxygen. Let's add the oxygen first, because they have the priority for survival, right? Oxygen first, water second, and then finally food. What is it? 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. That's typically how long you can remain reasonably healthy, I guess. Or at least recover from your experience without any permanent problems as a result. Yeah, let's expand out my truss segment here. We just need to have lots of room to attach things, and typically that means just sending trusses way out, spreading your wings across the sky. Not that you actually need wings, because you are moving at orbital velocity, right? So the main numbers for your space station are all up in the top left. You obviously want to keep your oxygen, water, and food high. You want to make sure your batteries don't run out during at night, and you want to make sure your power supply continuously feeds everything. We have a little shuttle coming in there, but we don't have... Oh, just in time, we have lab space. Will somebody board the space station? Let's hope they do. Then I can start them doing experiments, and we'll show what we have added, or what has been added to the game. Yeah, so Maria's come over, and now the new addition is that science labs don't automatically generate science. No, you have to actually pick contracts and study them in the lab, and you start out with very basic lab options, right? So you can do different contracts, but you're limited by what contracts because you only have a general purpose lab. Now, the lab also lets you unlock things like more specialized labs. It lets you unlock larger solar arrays, larger parts. And these are all, of course, good in making your space station bigger and better. But ultimately, it is kind of just a numbers going up game with a pretty picture of a space station in orbit over a planet which never has any clouds. Hey, developer, having some clouds would really give some impression of motion over the ocean. Motion over the ocean. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Meanwhile, let's just extend this out right now. We're not going to bring on a new habitation module until I absolutely have the power and the thermal cooling and everything for it. We've got supplies to handle at least 3 crew members, but we need to make sure we have excess power and excess, radiators and everything. And for expanding to extra crew, the oxygen generator is a huge bonus. It gives you a lot more lifetime, but it does need a lot more power. So what it's doing is it's taking water in the water tanks and electrolyzing it to generate oxygen, and presumably there's like a carbon scrubbing system somewhere. Nowadays on the space station, they don't use like lithium hydroxide canisters anymore. Those are like for the old space missions. Nowadays they use a special material that under pressure will absorb carbon dioxide, and then when they reduce the pressure it releases the carbon dioxide, so you can have like a system that passes the air over this at high pressure, and then at a later time they move the material to like a vacuum and just let the carbon dioxide disappear. And that of course lets them run a closed cycle system with only minimal consumables. Okay, so our agricultural camera is taking pictures of land masses, and we've now got ourselves a ton of cash, which is good. We can do some cosmic ray research, which will analyze the stuff coming from the sky, and hopefully give us some clue how to stop our crew from generating, superpowers, because we really don't want them generating superpowers, right? There's always these problems in the movies. They're never quite comfortable with themselves, are they? These, enhanced species beings, metahumans, that's what they're calling them in the DC Comics universe. Ooh, nice view over there. That is the Middle East there, I suspect. Looks like we're heading southeast. Yeah, there's a... What is that? This is Straits of Hormuz, I think, there. Little area between... I forget which countries are where. My geography is terrible. Look, we're heading out over into the Indian Ocean and everything out that way. And we're researching cosmic rays. Why? Because we want to learn about cosmic rays? No, because we're gonna get a ton of money to learn all about these iron nuclei that are being propelled up to ridiculous velocities, relativistic speeds, and energies by sources unknown. And then they hit, and then they do bad things. Yeah, I mean, that is most of the game at this point. Like, there's so much they can do with this platform, but really running a space station is, at this point, just letting numbers go higher. And occasionally, if you mess things up, things will overheat and they need repaired, and that can be bad. And if your lab gets out of commission, you're pretty much stuck and have to restart. But once you've got a couple of labs, a couple of habs, and you've got a steady income, there's no challenge to the game. It's just the challenge could ultimately end up being adding science research quickly enough. Right now I'm just waiting for enough money so that I can add a habitation module here. Whenever that agricultural module thing, agricultural experiment is complete. Well, obviously, right now we're just looking at the ocean, so they're saying, yep, taking pictures. Sorry, can't find any fields or forests. See, that would be kind of a cool thing if you could schedule all that as part of your space station management to only run it at certain times, and then if there's a free person, like because they can't take photographs, they can do work in another lab. So you could schedule these experiments there. Although I'm not sure that really qualifies as gameplay as it would qualify as managing something that's kind of annoying. I think we are probably coming up in Australia here, and we've got more people coming in, and they're taking a look around and they're saying, yep, sorry, no room at the inn right now. And we'll say, don't worry, as soon as we finish this agricultural research experiment, we shall build a veritable Hilton in space. Yes, mark my words. There's the sun going down there. There's my oxygen generator, waiting for when I have the money to build a bigger space station. Just waiting for that green line to move. It's moving! It's moving! Come on! Yes! As we pass over Tasmania, it is time for me to build my habitation module here. Small habitat. That will allow 2 more scientists to join the crew. And thanks to the magic of different shifts, they can all work separate hours on these labs. Although, I'm gonna say that on the International Space Station, they pretty much have learned early on that running crews with different shifts just doesn't really pay off. It was originally something they wanted to do with Gemini, with one crew member sleeping while another one was awake, and they never got good sleep. So on the International Space Station, everyone pretty much agrees on schedules, and everybody works to the same schedule. In fact, the International Space Station works on Universal Standard Time, Universal whatever. There we go, we get 3 crew members. They are in 3 different shifts, so unrealistic compared to the realities of running a space station, but very efficient in terms of generating science for my ongoing game. There, look, reading, resting, sleeping, now they're active. Just flicking through, running everything at full speed now. Just keep putting the science in there. Now the next step is to start adding more labs and specializing them. It's very tempting early on to specialize the lab, but I think then that loses all your general contracts. It means you can't do them, and it means you can't research things like better solar panels or bigger labs or everything. There is a bug right now, incidentally, where as you unlock things like the large habitat and the large lab, the game doesn't seem to realize, and you have to kind of quit the game and restart, and then you get the capabilities that you've spent all this time researching. Let's truss out a bit more. Yes, spread the wings even further. I've got to say, whoever's piloting that space shuttle is doing a dang good job of like parking it between my solar panels. I think if this was a real space station, they would never design it that way, but I was limited very early on, and that's what we're doing. Lab specialization in biology, let's take that. Large solar arrays, it will unlock the module. Not sure I need it just yet. It is just a case of watching those numbers up there and balancing them. You'll find if your batteries aren't charging quickly enough, then you need more solar panels, and if your batteries are running down overnight, then you need more batteries. Pretty easy stuff. And the crew will warn you if you're not having enough oxygen, water, or food. They basically won't come to your station. But right now they have enough space, they have everything, and I'm wanting the advanced habitat. I shall tell it to research that. But it's going to be right there down the bottom. Once this agricultural camera research is complete, though, I will have enough funds to build a new science lab, and I have a node for it ready to go. We know where the extension is going to be, and it's going to be out there, but let's just make sure we have the power for it. This shouldn't take too long. We get lab specialization in biology. We've got to make sure that we have all the batteries and everything to handle everything, because it's much worse if you get through this and then find out that you don't have the power to keep everyone running. Then the game punishes you hard, and things can actually break down and you revert. So it's better to just build and focus on the infrastructure side of things rather than focusing on expanding into space that you can't support. Almost here. Almost there. Yes, okay. Labs away. Let me find it. Small lab, build it. I thought I haven't researched advanced labs yet, but we're researching advanced habitats, so that'll be fine, and we'll research in the labs next. So meanwhile, I should queue up some more research while that lab is building. So the labs start as basic general purpose level 1 labs, and then as you progress, as you get more of them, you can specialize. Let's just make sure we've queued up the good work. I can't see any work just yet that needs anything specialized. Actually, I don't think anything shows up until you specialize. So yes, upgrade the lab to become a biology lab. I'm not sure if that changes the look for it, but it is now going to be able to handle contracts which are very specific to biology. I think it may also get a bonus to performing biology research, but I could just be imagining that that would be a good gameplay feature that a smart developer would add, right? Nothing yet. I think it takes a while for the contracts to basically refresh, but I can add a few here. We're now researching large labs. Yes, muscle mass. Okay, let's do that. Study the effects of muscle mass loss again. Epigenetics. Still no biology things. Damn it, I built this awesome biology lab and you're just not really giving me anything specific for it. I demand my money back. Let's expand out our truss for some more stuff. There we go. I think I'm just going to build this as wide as I can. Like, I'm not sure if there's any length limits on how big the space station can be, but we're just trussing out. And meanwhile, the labs, I think I will expand using pressurized nodes. Just make it logical rather than having like a pressurized node on the end of an unpressurized section. Okay, have we got any high-tech stuff? No, let's research large solar arrays. Biosphera research. Investigate the visibility of closed ecological systems. Basic level. Well, I guess while I'm waiting, I can just do what astronauts do when they have some downtime. I can just admire the scenery, watch the automated systems do their things, spin things around. Look at them tracking the sun there. Isn't that pretty? Neutron radiation research is gonna get me 1,405. Wow, that is a nice number. In fact, now, oh, there we go. Finally, cultured retina cells, muscle mass medium, whatever. Add that. So now you see we're getting the biology level 3. They're sadly not very lucrative. Maybe I haven't looked into the exact numbers, but they don't seem to be that particularly special at this time. You know, the game is in development, and you know, you buy into an early access title. It can be that the basic game doesn't last for very long before it gets boring. But as an early access, you know, buyer, you also get to kind of tell the developer what you think works and what you think is needed. What I think is needed is just you know, more crises, more randomness to kind of mess you up. Right now there is a very obvious progression system, and you need more things, more ways to have to build around contingency, problems that you need to solve, and the problems that you need to solve need to be more simple than just trying to deal with numbers being too low or numbers being too high, like real emergencies. But you know, I'm sure the developer has thought about this. I'm sure the developer has a huge notepad full of ideas that they want to add into the game, and you know, basically a real life schedule that is stopping them adding every single thing. It's the basic game of life that we all have to deal with. And obviously I know this very well, since I'd love to be a much more involved YouTube, you know, social media person, but I have my family and my day job and all that other stuff. And I love it all, and I love you all, and I hope you will continue to follow this game. Until the next time, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.